Make your leather projects look pro level with one simple lacing technique and learn how to do it in just a few minutes. This project requires very few tools: lacing needles, lace, an awl or fid, and most importantly, these flat chisels, which may be different than the angled stitching chisels you may have used before. Start by measuring your lace. You want at least 7 times the distance of your stitch line, or up to 9 times. Once you have your lace cut, pick one end and cut it to a sharp point with a sharp knife. Doing this helps when you install the needle, so don't skip this step. With your 2-prong needle split at the prongs, insert your lace and grab a pair of pliers or a mallet to mash it into place. Give your lace a tug and make sure it's nice and snug before you start lacing. To start double loop lacing, insert your needle through one hole with the flesh side facing up. Pull the lace through, making sure to leave at least a 1-inch tail. Flip this tail over and use your finger to hold it in place. Grab your working lace, making sure that it stays flat, and insert the needle into the next hole, pulling it through gently to create an X shape. With the X firmly in place, grab your working lace and, making sure it stays flat, bring it to the front of your project. Insert the needle tip under the X that you have created and pull it to the back. The tail that's created here will be used later when we go to finish our lacing, so don't lose track of it, but also don't cut it too short. Continue repeating these steps of inserting your needle into the next hole, then feeding the needle into the X that you have created. Repeat this pattern until you've reached the end of your stitch line. As you're lacing, do your best to create an even tension so you don't have some stitches that are larger and some that are smaller. Even tension will create a beautiful product. Otherwise, you may end up looking like you've got some lumps or areas that didn't quite lay right when you get to the end of your project. Creating an even tension can take practice, so take your time and do a couple of practice swatches first. Make sure you find your X each and every time and feed your needle under both of those pieces of leather to make sure you have even stitches that look the same all the way around. Corners follow a similar pattern. However, instead of putting a single stitch in a hole, we're going to put multiple stitches into each hole around the corner to make sure there's enough lace to lay flat all the way around the corner. This can sometimes mean your first stitch in a corner will get 2 stitches, your center stitch will get 1 stitch, and your next outside corner stitch will get 2 stitches. Sometimes it's 2 corner stitches that get 2 each. You want to use each project and adjust accordingly to make sure you're getting the coverage that you need without overdoing it. This can take practice, so take your time. As you go, especially around these corners, make sure to loosen the stitches, grab them and wiggle them around a little bit so that you've got that even tension and you're creating stitches that are going to look alike no matter where on the piece they are. There may come a point when you don't have enough lace. To splice new lace in, start with a new piece of lace and a new needle. About 3 or 4 stitches ahead of where you are, feed it through the center and out to the back. Then take that tail and feed it in between the layers and hide it between the stitches that you continue to sew up until you reach your new thread. Sometimes if you've glued or used double-sided tape, it can be a little bit difficult to get them to lay down the way that you'd like, so take your time and be patient. It's worth getting it in there and really wedged down to be hid between these layers. You want to sandwich that in. When you reach your new lace, feed your working lace through the next hole and in between the layers of leather. You can now trim that off. Grab your new lace and continue on as if nothing had changed, through the X and back in through the next hole. Sandwich your old end of your lace in between the layers just like you did the beginning. Give it a little bit of an adjustment and continue lacing onward. To end your lacing, we're going to take that original piece of leather that we started with and pick out at least one stitch so we create a hole or a loop that we're going to be using to lace our old lace in. Simply take an awl or a fid and take that lace and pull it back through until it's hiding in between the middle of your two layers of leather, and you're left with a loop and a half a stitch ready. At this point, you should be looking at one final hole and a loop. From the back, feed your needle through the existing loop from the beginning of your stitches. Feed it back through the X in your previous stitch, and make sure to start loosening these up and moving them, kind of wiggling them closer to each other so you can get your tension just the way you like it. Then feed your needle back through the front of that loop and all the way through, and finally into the last hole, and then feed your lace up through your existing lace and pull it tight as if you're backstitching it into your work. Be careful at this step. If it's too tight, you will rip your lace, and you don't want to do that. So feed your needle back through your finished lacing and gently pull it through to complete your stitch line. For your final step, take a mallet or maul and go ahead and whack these stitches down to get them a little bit more flat and to lay in a way that they won't become unraveled. No matter the project, this technique will serve you well. If you've got questions, drop them in the comments. If there is a topic you would like us to cover, let us know. And as always, happy crafting.